I never thought I'd find myself in a situation like this. My name's Mike, and I've been married to Lisa for over 10 years. We've got a daughter, Emily, who's crazy about her violin. Lisa's always been ambitious. She's the kind of woman who insists she's got everything under control, that she's the smart one, the one who knows what's best for everyone. Our marriage started showing cracks a while back, but I just figured it was the usual stress, work, parenting, the grind. Nothing out of the ordinary, really. But then small things started to add up. Lisa acting distant, coming home late more often than not, and that was weird because she's not exactly the one to keep secrets. Still, I shrugged it off. Maybe she was just stressed with her job or her side projects. She's always trying to prove she's better than everyone else, more successful, more capable, more everything. The real trouble started during Emily's latest recital. It was a big deal for us. Emily had been practicing her piece for months, and Lisa was supposed to be there early to help her warm up. I was running late, stuck in traffic, and when I finally got there, I saw Lisa sitting in the front row, chatting casually with someone I didn't recognize. I thought, okay, maybe an old friend. But then I saw her hand resting a little too comfortably on the guy's knee. They looked familiar, but I couldn't quite place them at first. It wasn't until I got closer that I realized who it was. It was Oliver, Emily's violin teacher. But it wasn't the teacher-student vibe I was expecting. They looked more like a couple. His hand was just inches from her thigh, and she was leaning into him, whispering something that made her laugh. I couldn't hear what she said, but the way she looked at him, that sneaky, flirty look, it made my stomach twist. My first instinct was to stay quiet and watch, because I honestly couldn't believe what I was seeing. The recital started, and all I could do was sit there with this gnawing feeling of unease. I kept thinking, she's cheating on me, right here in front of everyone. I mean, I saw the way they looked at each other. That's not just casual teacher-student stuff. It looked like they knew each other way too well. And when Emily stepped on stage to play her piece, I couldn't focus. Instead, I stared at Lisa and Oliver, and I wondered how long this had been going on. After the recital, I waited outside, pretending to be collecting my thoughts, but really I was trying to catch a glimpse of Lisa. She was quick to leave with Oliver, exchanging a quick hug and a smile that didn't sit right with me. It was like she didn't even care that I saw her. I felt my blood boiling. I'd always trusted her, believed that she was honest with me, but now, everything felt like a lie. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying that moment in my mind over and over, the way she looked at him, the secret whispers, the way she brushed her hair back like she was trying to hide her smile, but I saw it. I saw her. I knew then that something was seriously wrong, something I'd never expected to find out about my wife. I felt betrayed, furious, and hurt, all at once. I didn't know where to go from there, but one thing was clear. My marriage was about to change forever. The next few days were a blur of anger and confusion. I couldn't focus on work, couldn't sleep, and every time I saw Lisa, I caught myself analyzing her every move. She acted like everything was normal, complaining about her day, throwing her usual sass, acting like she had no idea what I was thinking. But I knew better. I'd seen the way she looked at Oliver, and I knew that whatever was going on between them wasn't just some innocent teacher-student thing. It was something more, something she was trying to hide, but her actions betrayed her. I started to dig, quietly at first. I went through her phone, her emails, nothing explicit but enough to see that she was hiding something. Texts that disappeared too quickly, calls she'd delete. But I didn't want to jump to conclusions just based on that. I needed proof, something concrete. I decided to follow her just to see where she went after her meetings with Oliver. That's when I found out the truth, or at least a part of it. One afternoon, she was supposed to be at her friend's house, but I saw her slip out the back door with her purse and her coat. I followed her discreetly, keeping my distance, and watched her walk into a small, nondescript building downtown. I didn't recognize it right away, but I managed to get a glimpse of a sign, "The Art of Private Lessons." That's when everything clicked. Oliver must have been lying about her discussing advanced lessons. They were doing more than that. I felt my blood run cold. She was cheating on me with my daughter's violin teacher in some secret practice room while I was out trying to make sure Emily had a good life. And I wasn't even supposed to know. My stomach clenched so tight I thought I'd be sick. I wanted to confront her immediately, but I knew I had to be careful. I needed a plan, a way to get her to admit everything without her slipping away again. That night, I sat in the dark, replaying the last few days, feeling like I was losing my mind. How could she do this? How could she lie so effortlessly? I've always believed Lisa was smarter than me, more capable, but her lies, they were like a web I was getting tangled in. I kept telling myself I shouldn't be surprised. She's always been bitchy, manipulative, and good at hiding her true nature. Still, hearing about her sneaking off with Oliver, knowing what they were doing behind my back, made me feel like I was punched in the gut. I knew I couldn't keep quiet any longer. The next step was clear. I had to confront her. I had to see if she'd admit to it or keep lying her way out of it. But I also knew that once I did, nothing would be the same. I was already imagining the fallout, how she'd spin her stories, deny everything, try to make me look like the crazy one. That was her specialty, gaslighting, twisting things, making herself the victim. She always had a way of turning things around so she came out on top. The day I decided to confront her was a day I'll never forget. I waited until she was home, expecting her to be bitchy and dismissive, as usual. But when I told her I knew about Oliver, her face went pale for a second. She tried to lie, of course. Said she was discussing advanced lessons, that I was being paranoid, that I was just overthinking because I was jealous or insecure, that she and Oliver were just friends, nothing more, but I wasn't buying it. The way she looked at him, the way she lied with ease, it all added up. I felt a mixture of rage and hurt I'd never experienced before. And that's when everything started to fall apart. The confrontation didn't go how I thought it would. Honestly, I expected tears, maybe some pleading, or at least some sort of apology. Instead, Lisa's reaction was pure attitude, bitchy, dismissive, and defiant. She sat there, arms crossed, giving me that sly smile she uses when she's trying to manipulate someone. She told me I was crazy, that I was imagining things, that Oliver was just helping Emily with her lessons, and that I was overreacting because I don't trust her. That she was tired of my accusations, tired of me doubting her, and that I needed to stop being paranoid. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. It was like talking to a wall. She was outright lying, denying everything, acting so damn confident she was right. But I knew better. I had proof now. I had seen her sneaking out, I had seen their secret meetings, and I had seen the way she looked at him, like she was trying to seduce him right in front of my eyes. I told her I wasn't stupid, that I'd been watching her, that I knew what she was doing, that I knew she'd been lying to my face. Her reaction, she just scoffed, rolled her eyes, and told me I was possessive and jealous, that I was just trying to control her because she was independent and successful. She said I was paranoid, insecure, and that I needed to get over myself, that she was done pretending and that she was tired of my accusations. She looked right at me with this icy stare and told me she'd be leaving soon, maybe even today, and that she didn't care what I thought anymore. The emotional impact hit me like a freight train. I felt betrayed, humiliated, and angry, so angry I wanted to shake her and scream at her to come clean. But I also felt this crushing sadness, like I'd lost the woman I thought I knew. All those years, all those promises felt like they meant nothing. I was devastated, but inside a part of me was furious. Furious that she could lie so easily, so convincingly, and that she thought she could get away with it. Once she stormed out that day, I was left alone in the house with just my thoughts. I kept replaying her words, her smirk, her dismissiveness. The fact that she was so willing to throw everything away just for some secret affair. I was furious at her, but also angry at myself for not seeing this coming. I had trusted her so blindly, and now I was left with this gaping wound of betrayal. I started questioning everything, our marriage, her love for me, whether I'd ever really known her at all. I wondered if she'd been cheating on me for months, maybe even years. It all made me feel sick. I couldn't believe I'd been naive enough to miss the signs, to think she was just busy or stressed. Deep down, I knew I'd have to make a choice soon, to fight for this marriage or to walk away. But I wasn't ready. Not yet. I needed time to process what just happened, to figure out what I truly wanted. In the days that followed, I kept my distance. I didn't answer her texts or calls, didn't want to hear her lie again. Instead, I started thinking about how to fight back, how to expose her lies, and how to reclaim a little of my dignity. I wasn't going to let her get away with this without consequences. I knew I had to be smart, patient, and strategic. But what really gnawed at me was that feeling of betrayal, feeling like I'd been played for a fool. It's one thing to suspect someone's cheating, it's another entirely to see it with your own eyes and then have her deny it. That was the real blow. I kept asking myself, how did it get this far? How did she turn into this person? How could she betray me like this and then lie to my face? I didn't have answers yet, but I knew I wasn't going to roll over. I was ready to fight in whatever way I needed. I just didn't know what the aftermath would look like, or if I'd ever be able to trust her again. All I knew for sure was that I was done being a pushover and I was about to take control of this mess one way or another. The days turned into a waiting game. I kept my distance, pretending everything was normal, but inside I was boiling. I couldn't shake the image of Lisa with Oliver, her smirk, the secret touches, the lies she was feeding everyone, including me. Every time I saw her, I felt like a fool. She still acted like she owned the place, throwing her bitchy attitude around, making snide comments about my insecurity or trust issues. But I knew better. I knew what I saw, and I knew she was lying her ass off. I started to gather evidence, not just to confront her again, but to prepare for whatever came next. I installed a hidden app on her phone, mostly just to keep tabs. I wanted to see what she was really saying, who she was talking to, what she was planning. I didn't want to be blindsided again. My gut told me she was planning to leave, maybe even take Emily, and I'd be left with nothing. I had to be ready. One night I got a text from her, an obvious attempt to pretend everything was fine. "We need to talk," she wrote, sounding innocent but really just trying to cover her ass. I played it cool, told her I was busy, but inside I was planning my move. I knew she was trying to manipulate me, trying to convince me to forgive her or just forget everything. The more she denied, the more I knew I needed to confront her again with proof in hand. I wasn't going to let her gaslight me anymore. Then out of nowhere she came home late that night looking tense. I could see it in her eyes. She tried to act like she was just tired, exhausted from her discussions, but I wasn't buying it. She was on edge, fidgeting, avoiding eye contact. I decided to push her further. I asked her point blank if she was cheating on me with Oliver. Her face froze for a second, then she snapped at me. "You're being paranoid," she spat. "You're overreacting. I can't believe you're this insecure." That was it. I'd had enough of her bullshit. I told her I knew the truth, the meetings, the secret touches, the lies. I played her my recordings, screenshots of her texts, everything I had gathered. Her face turned red with anger, then defiance. She said I was crazy, that I was making things up, that Oliver was just helping Emily with her lessons, and that I should stop accusing her of things that weren't real. She told me I was a jealous idiot, that I was ruining everything, and that she was tired of this game. That's when I finally saw the real Lisa, the bitchy, manipulative woman she had been hiding all along. Her words were venomous, her tone cold. I realized there was no reasoning with her anymore. She was determined to keep her affair, her secrets, her lies, and I was just a piece in her game. I felt a surge of anger, pure, righteous rage. I wasn't going to let her walk all over me, not anymore. If she wanted to lie and cheat, then she could do it alone. I decided right then and there that I'd take control of this disaster, one way or another. The next few days were a whirlwind. I started packing some of my things secretly. I didn't tell her, didn't want her to know I was planning to leave. I just knew I couldn't stay in this toxic environment anymore. Every time I looked at her, I saw the sneer, the lies, the betrayal. The woman I married was gone, replaced by this cold, bitchy version who thought she could get away with everything. But I also knew this wasn't just about leaving her or saving myself. It was about standing up for what I deserved. Respect, honesty, loyalty, things she had shattered with her betrayal. I was done playing the victim. I wanted her to know I wasn't fooling around anymore. I wanted her to feel what it's like to be betrayed, to be played. That's when I decided I'd do something drastic, something to make her regret every lie, every sneer, every moment she thought she could get away with this. But I also knew I had to be smart. I couldn't just blow everything up without thinking through the consequences. I needed proof, a plan, and the courage to follow through. because once I confronted her again, there would be no turning back. And I was tired of being the fool. It was time to fight back hard. The plan started to take shape in my mind, and I knew I had to be strategic. Confrontations had only gotten her more defensive, more manipulative. So I decided I'd gather everything I could, more proof, more leverage, before I made my next move. I set up a hidden camera in my house, just in case she tried to deny the truth once I brought it up again. I also found out about Oliver's schedule, so I could be ready for the moment she'd try to slip away or meet him again. Meanwhile, she kept up her act, acting like everything was just fine, throwing her bitchy comments my way, trying to make me doubt my own sanity. Every time she dismissed me, I felt that familiar surge of anger, but I kept my cool. I knew she thrived on chaos, on making me look like the crazy one. So I stayed quiet, biding my time. I had to wait for the right moment, when she'd be most vulnerable, when I'd have the best evidence. One evening, I caught her sneaking out again, this time with her purse and coat. I followed her from a safe distance, watching her enter that same nondescript building. She stayed for a while, and I waited outside, recording everything. When she finally came out, her face was flushed, her hair slightly tousled, the kind of look only someone who's been caught in the act would have. I knew I had enough now. That night, I sat in the dark again, going through everything I'd collected. I had the recordings, her texts, her deleted emails, even some photographs I'd taken from hidden spots. I felt a strange mixture of relief and disgust. Relief because I finally had proof, and disgust because I'd been so blind for so long. I trusted her, believed in her, and she'd been lying to my face all along. That realization was almost worse than the betrayal itself. The next day, I decided I wouldn't wait any longer. I needed to confront her, this time with everything on the table. I told her I knew the truth, that I had proof, and that I wasn't going to let her keep playing her games. Her reaction was classic. She doubled down, trying to gaslight me, insisting I was crazy, that I was making things up. I told her I wasn't interested in her lies anymore. I told her I was done being her fool, and I was prepared to leave if she didn't own up. She started to panic then, for the first time showing cracks in her armor. Her voice trembled as she tried to deny everything, but I cut her off. I played her the recordings, showed her the photos, handed her the screenshots. Her face went white, and she started to scream that I was crazy, that I was stalking her, that I was overreacting. But I didn't care anymore. I had what I needed. It was her turn to face the consequences. I told her I was done. Done with her lies, her manipulations, her cheating. I told her that I'd be filing for divorce soon, that she couldn't keep doing this and expect me to stay silent. Her eyes flashed with fury, but I knew I'd won this round. She realized she'd pushed me too far, and for once she was genuinely scared. The bitchy smirk was gone, replaced with a look of pure rage. That night, I moved out of the house. Not angrily, more like a quiet, cold resolve. I didn't tell her where I was going, but I made sure. She knew I was serious. I wanted her to feel the weight of her betrayal, to see what she'd lost. The house was silent, but inside, I felt a strange sense of liberation. I'd finally taken control, and I wasn't going to let her destroy me any longer. I knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy, but I also knew I deserved better. I'd lost my wife, yes, but I'd gained clarity, a sense that I could finally stand up for myself and stop letting her manipulate and lie her way through life. Now I'm just waiting to see what she does next. Honestly, I don't care. I've made my choice. I've learned that trust once broken is hard to rebuild, and sometimes the best thing you can do is walk away. But one thing for sure, I won't be played for a fool again. In the days that followed, everything felt different. The house was eerily quiet, and I'd catch myself looking at her side of the bed, then quickly look away. I knew I'd made the right decision, even though it hurt like hell. There's this strange clarity that comes when you're forced to confront the truth head-on. I realized I'd been living in a dream, convinced everything was perfect when, in fact, it had been unraveling for months, maybe longer. I started to rebuild piece by piece. It wasn't just about moving out or dealing with the betrayal. It was about reclaiming my life. I cut ties with her completely, told friends and family what I'd uncovered, and started focusing on Emily, making sure she didn't get caught in the fallout. I didn't want her growing up thinking this kind of deception and betrayal was normal. I knew I needed to be strong for her, for myself. Looking back, I feel a strange mix of relief and anger. Relief that I finally saw the truth and took control. Anger at how she lied, manipulated, and thought she could get away with it. But mostly, I feel a sense of empowerment I never had before. Because I learned a harsh lesson. Trust is fragile, and sometimes you have to fight to protect yourself from the ones you thought loved you. It's been a tough road, no doubt, but I've come out the other side with a clearer understanding of what I deserve. I don't regret exposing her, even if it hurt like hell, because now I know what real honesty looks like, and I refuse to settle for anything less. This story isn't just about betrayal. It's about finding strength when everything seems to crumble, about standing up and saying, no more. And if there's one thing I want anyone reading this to take away, it's this. Never accept lies as normal. Never ignore the signs because you're afraid of losing what you think is worth fighting for. Sometimes the only way to get your life back is to face the truth, no matter how painful it is. Because the truth, in the end, is the only thing that sets you free.